Edgar Callaway, good afternoon, sir. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa. Edgar, I hope you're having a great day, man.
Fantastic.
What's the last 72 hours been like for you guys?
Well, when I say it, you probably won't believe it, but it's pretty much been business as usual.
Okay.
We haven't noticed a significant change in volume, call numbers. We're not having any more wrecks or any more sick people than you would expect. So other than just kind of the planning phase for what could lie ahead, beyond that, kind of a normal week.
Edgar, I want to lay out some credentials. You're a paramedic. You've got a lot of license. Kind of run through those credentials. You've been in EMS for many years. Kind of lay out those credentials for us, if you don't mind.
I've got a paramedic license, which I've had for 30 plus years, and a master's degree in nursing, which I haven't really used that much, other than from an educational standpoint. I've been with NorthStar for 28 years. About the last 20 of those as the operations director, which is kind of overseeing the medical operations of the EMS profession. So I guess really my expertise would lie in the EMS profession or public safety more than anything. I also did go to school. I have a degree from the University of Alabama because I like to tell everybody we're all Bama fans, right? So I have a degree in business from the University of Alabama as well, back in the late 80s.
So when you look at this coronavirus, because I'm trying to learn from those who deal with infectious diseases every single day, and I think we can inform the public. Talk about some of those universal precautions, guys, things that you guys do every single day that a lot of us may or may not have that good practice.
Okay, absolutely. So, I think we've heard in the news and read in the paper and anywhere, hand washing is the key. And that's kind of go to healthcare profession school 101. So the first class you would take, regardless of what medical profession you got into, one of the first things they would do with infection control would be talk about washing your hands. And then we will use barriers like, vinyl or rubber gloves or nitrile gloves to put a barrier between us and, generally speaking, body fluids. So we kind of put on gloves and then wash our hands, and those are good. That's been proven time and time again to be one of the critical pieces in stopping the transmission of illness, disease, bacteria, whatever the case is.
And those precautions are not just effective for this, but those are protective measures for a lot of things that might even be even the severity chart would even be more severe. Correct? Correct.
I would venture to say that we're going to just if we did what we're doing right now, not just for the coronavirus, but if every day, starting in the beginning of October when flu season begins to take hold, and if we just did it from then until around the 1st of March, every year we would probably cut our flu cases in half just by washing our hands, wiping the buggy when we go into Walmart. We're going in somewhere
Sure.
to shop, wiping our buggy with just a sanitary wipe, something of that nature. And Walmart actually provides them. Just basic hand washing and cleaning the environment that we touch. We would cut down colds, flu, and other viruses that we tend to catch and don't even know it.
With your experience, when you look at the Alabama Department of Public Health and some of the things that they've issued, talk about some of those things that really grabbed your attention on you've talked about universal precautions and the barriers that help us, but talk about maybe something that you guys did different, your operations, the way that you kind of said, okay, hey, we need to be ready for this. What's that planning phase been like?
So hand washing has been the big thing, but so they recommend people to cover their mouth or nose when they cough, so it's kind of trying to stop the spread of droplet infections. So we have begun to, with people who we suspect might have developed coronavirus or any other viral infection, the flu A or B, some of these others. So if they're presenting with symptoms, we put just a regular paper mask like you might see a nurse wearing in the operating room. We will put that on the patient, and then we have masks that we wear ourselves. We have a mask, an N95, so a mask with a little bit higher filtration rate for our personnel if they are enclosed in an area like, say, the back of an ambulance with a patient. But that prevents the spread of droplets. Many of our patients are on oxygen as well, so an oxygen mask somewhat serves for that, as it's a barrier if somebody should cough for droplets to get in the air. So that's kind of the second thing. We would use gloves. We would use a mask. When you see our people out, if we're working on a trauma call or somebody who's coughing, many times you will see somebody, particularly somebody who may not have glasses or prescription glasses, but they will wear goggles. They're just a goggle like a welder might wear, or somebody who works maybe up at Mercedes building cars. It's just to protect the eyes. The eyes are, they're a mucous membrane as well, so you put on goggles and it prevents spray into your eyes. And then we might put on a paper gown, and that gown is to prevent the virus from getting on our clothes, because everybody forgets that we come to work and work all day and transport patients or nurses. Maybe they work in the emergency room or wherever they work, and they wear those same clothes home at night to then put in their washing machine and wash. So to some degree, the gowns will limit what we get on our clothing as much as possible anyway. So those are kind of some of the things that we are probably doing more now than we would have been if you'd have talked to me this time 2 weeks ago. And it looks kind of, so everybody would look and think, good gracious, what are they coming in contact with? And honestly, we probably don't do that as much as we should, but it's something we certainly do every time we work a wreck with blood or potential blood exposure, or somebody with any kind of potential transmittable disease. You would cover yourself and prevent the virus from getting on your clothes or whatever it is you're trying to prevent. Cover your face with a mask so that you can't breathe droplets, and then covering your eyes to prevent splash into your eyes.
We're talking to Edgar Callaway. He's from NorthStar EMS, Director of Operations, Edgar. And I want to go back, because maybe this is where I'm having a little bit of a different reaction, because I watched 2011. We went through a devastation, even though those things are different than what we're going through. And really, those were severe, that it was, in just a matter of a couple of minutes, you had a lot of your infrastructure that was down. A lot of the communication was down. But I watched Tuscaloosa respond to one of the biggest disasters I've ever seen in a 1.6 mile wide, 7 mile long, and the amount of patients that you guys dealt with. And I look back at that, and I look at the people that were treated at the trauma center, the ER across this state, the way that you guys responded. It's different, but because of those events, it's like you guys are prepared in this EMS field, in the medical field, and all that kind of works together. To me, that maybe I have confidence in this community.
Absolutely. So, first of all, I expect the public and everybody in this community to respond just like they did in 2011, and I expect us to be able to do all possible to kind of control the spread of this thing, because I feel like people will do what they're being asked to do by officials. We work together, so we've been in communication we've been talking for over a month now, and meeting regularly for the last 2 weeks with EMA, 911, all the people that work in the communication center, our EMA directors, the public health officials, in preparing for what was coming. We took basically the concepts that we used pre and post April 27th of 11. So we kind of took that structure. Mayor Maddox got involved and as well, and we put that structure into play. And we were just dealing with a different issue. We were at that point we were dealing with catastrophic damage from buildings, but you're talking similar numbers of potential injuries. Actually, this could be more people sick than injuries caused in a tornado. But we basically have taken the same principles, the key communication between us and the officials that both DCH and Northport Hospital and 911 and EMA, and we've kind of put all that together and said, okay, what did we do then? And you still follow those same principles. The instant command system, we're talking about numbers every day. What are we seeing? What are we expecting? What kind of equipment are we going to run short on? What kind of equipment do we have excess of? So just kind of putting a plan in place. And I do agree with you. I thought this community responded admirably in 2011 to the tornado. And I think the same thing will happen here. I think people will do what they're asked. They'll stay out of public venues and maybe limit that exposure, kind of keep your distance, your 6-foot distance. I've seen everybody fist bumping now instead of shaking hands.
Hey, that was the best idea. Why did we not learn this in the EMS field a long time ago? I mean,
I don't know. I think, fist bumping, elbow bumping, whatever it is, but really you can just nod your head at everybody kind of sure. Until this is kind of run its course.
Edgar, final question, and we're going to replay some of our conversations as we travel throughout the day. Just your advice. I mean, take what your knowledge of the entire. I mean, you've studied science for many, many years. I'm curious, when you look at your information, what have you done to prepare? I'm not about you personally, not with NorthStar, but just you, because I think we can learn from the experts in the field. And if you went out and bought 1,000 rolls of toilet paper, I mean, maybe I need to go out and buy 1,000 rolls. But I mean, how have you prepared? I mean, what have you taken the knowledge that we have and combined that with what you've done personally?
So from my perspective, and while I do have to, from a professional standpoint, I do have to, at times, I won't say get on the front line, but take care of patients who are sick. I have not really changed anything except going out in public. I haven't really, and not because I don't want to. I think going to eat would be fine. I've stopped at a couple of restaurants, but during this acute phase, maybe get your meal to go, and that's a good way to prevent it. Go to the store when you need to go to the store and buy what you need to purchase. But I did not buy. I think I bought one extra pack of toilet paper and paper towel I think I did that because everybody else was doing it. I have found that I'm washing my hands more frequently, but I think that's because this has just been a good time to remind me to wash my hands.
Sure.
But I go to the bank. I stayed at home all weekend, but I did work outside. I actually cleaned my car up. And generally speaking, keep my distance from people in any public environment. So when I come to work, I don't get up close to anybody and frequently washing my hands. But other than that, I have really not changed very much about how I live my life at this point. Now, things can always change, and that may not be the case tomorrow. But at present, I'm just really kind of life as normal, following the directions that has been put out all the way from the President of the United States down to what we're getting locally here, which is keep your distance from people. Don't go to big public gatherings. Wash your hands frequently. Don't touch your face, particularly if your hands haven't been washed. And then from a professional standpoint, if I am out in the area of somebody who is potentially exposed or been diagnosed, I would simply put on goggles, a paper mask, gloves, and probably a gown if I was in a confined area with somebody who was at risk or who had been exposed or had been diagnosed. But beyond that, I would still take care of those people just like anybody else. So I really, while the risk exists and the numbers that could possibly get sick with this could potentially overwhelm a healthcare system, I think if we're all smart and follow the directions that we've been given by our public officials, I think we're going to be just fine, Brian.
Edgar, final question. Tell me about NorthStar as far as the goals and the mission of you guys, because I think that really starts, and I think it's very simple, our vision to be Alabama's premier EMS provider of pre-hospital care and medical transportation services. But it's going beyond that to accomplish that vision.
Correct. So we're a 28-year-old company, or will be 28 April the 1st, opened in Tuscaloosa, owned locally by a local Tuscaloosa individual who graduated from county high school, Tony Smelly. A lot of people know Tony. And, we have been very blessed to be able to go through and become an accredited company. We're accredited through our dispatch center and also our medical operations. There are only about 200 companies in the world who have a dual accreditation. So we have tried to go above and beyond, and we really are a community-based company. We are from here in Tuscaloosa and take care of Tuscaloosa and the West Alabama area. So, and a place that I've enjoyed being for the last 28 years.
Edgar, thank you for spending a couple of minutes with us, kind of giving us, kind of lean on these experts in the field and kind of describe what you guys are going through. I think we can learn a lot from you guys, and I appreciate you spending a couple of minutes with me here in T-Town.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, and roll tide.